Rib, Dog Night Out, new book I'm working called Rib, in process, needs proofread, early release of material. Chapter 34, a 3-foot clothesline hung at the back of the wheeled cabin, which now rested along the pines. Shep was satisfied with the area, and it was far enough from the main road for security, silence, and scenery. He loved taking photos of the ice-capped peaks on the horizon, which seemed connected by a line of pines from the wagon and horizon. The Interceptor was in park with emergency brake pulled up, just in case someone tried to hotwire or hack it. The emergency brake could only be released with a touch of the brake pedal. One final step in his security to hold it all down. The Interceptor was the most viable tool on this trip. It had hundreds of advantages over anyone chasing him, and had built-in satellite internet just in case he decided to turn it on. For now, everything technical was off. Everything inside the SUV, four-wheeled, was no longer on to be possible tracked. He was pretty sure all his tracks were covered. The Interceptor would be closely watched and near him at all times. The truck had a tow cable in front and back, which he could use to pull others out of icy jams, or even the wheeled cabin he's now slept in with a dog could be saved if it needed to be pulled to another location anytime soon. The Netflix card sat on the fold-out table in the 70-square-foot room on wheels. The dog curled in a ball on the small captain's bed. Shep had the hot plate on, and the white of eggs sizzled and the yellow bubbled. He ate the eggs quickly with a plastic fork and then waited a few minutes and added bacon. Bacon was better later on after the eggs went down. After he'd read his funny papers and some news on his smartphone, he'd slice a grapefruit and squeeze into his mixer bowl. After breakfast and the funny papers, he'd set up the Starlink. Shep climbed out of the cabin on wheels and scaled up the metal ladder attached to the back side. Of the cozy wheeled house. While halfway up, it took a peek inside. From the side window to check on Buster, and noticed the clothing on the clothesline was still soggy, and made sure the buddy heater was blowing on them. Wet socks, icy overalls from travel, and a pair of New Balance hiking boots were currently drying before the heater vent. The interior ceiling fan whistled and hummed from above, and Shep got on all knees and crawled along the roof of the wheeled cabin. "Ball bearings," he said in a hushed voice, so the dog wouldn't awake. He angled the Starlink dish just so until the green light popped on his phone. Got it. He stared out on the horizon. There, along the line of pines leading to the icy mesa, was a white, snowy creature mooling around. It was the great polar bear. He rose up on 2 feet like a giant man, howled upward, leaning his head back and opening his great jaws at the heavens above. The whimpering turned into a roar and echoed off the faraway icy mesa. Shep hopped off the roof and landed like a cat on all fours, and then popped up and then into the cabin. He retrieved the cannon and powered it on, and unplugged its long gray cord from the AC/DC outlet near the toaster and air fryer on the kitchenette bar table. Son of a gun, she's out there. He flew out of the wheeled cabin and made his way back the ladder. "Smile, you son of a bitch," he quoted one of his favorite movies, which he thought about watching later on. Robert Shaw was a genius, and so was Roy. "Smile, chick, chick." The camera hissed as the photos were drawn inside, and he looked through the lens again. The bear must have snuck behind a group of brush, and he searched a good 10 minutes trying to hunt out his next move. The polar bear wasn't seen again that day. Shep curled up next to his sleeping dog and checked his internet connection on his smartphone. He was getting 200 download and about 10 upload. Wow, that's amazing! Here, he was way out in the wilderness and getting ready to watch some Netflix. Shep logged in. In waved on the screen, and then the Netflix logo, and then his account name, which made him a bit blue. Archie Rector. Sounds like a shoe salesman at Mervin's, he said, and that department store is scarcely seen anywhere. Oh well. Archie Rectum it is, he joked, and then logged in and skimmed through the movies, stopping at Jaws. Cut to 24 miles north. Jed followed the coordinate on the GPS and arrived at 7-Eleven. No one was there. It was a ghost town. Miles back, the only form of life he saw was a moose crossing the road, which he nearly hit with the GMC van. One of the windows had less ice and reflected an image of his van and the smiley face painted on the side and the words happy. He painted the symbol of happiness and the word years back after buying it on Facebook Market. Jed was feeling go-lucky when he painted the van years back and added shadow around the smile and spaced the word happy. He pulled up to the front doors of the gas station. The windows were glazed over with ice, and the front door was sealed with a chain. I guess they're closed. Damn, I wanted a big bite. Shikes. Jed rolled around the station and parked the van next to the huge green dumpster. No one in sight. The weather was cold and hard, 1 degree out. Damn it, I need to call the doc. Then, before he could dial out, his side mirror captured a billow. The green dumpster was smoking. A small line of smoke arose from the black plastic lid. Shep tucked the extinguisher under his arm and zipped up his hoodie, which had the words Megadeth across the sleeve and over the right chest plate. What the fuck is that? Jed said into the midair. He rolled down his driver's side window and took in a whiff. It smelled like burning wood. He jumped out and headed to the back of the van and opened the doors. There, tucked in the corner, was a red fire extinguisher. Time to play fireman. I love to play with fire, Jed said loudly. He made it to the dumpster and pulled the pin on the canister and opened the lid. A man hunched over like a gremlin waved his hands about. Yo, man, I'm in here, fool. The man had dreadlocks and no shirt. His pants were full of holes, and he couldn't tell if they were blue jeans or cut-up overalls. He looked wild and mean and hurried and smelled like feces and burnt mushrooms. Yo, fool, I'm in here. This is my place. The fire jetted up from a round cylinder, shiny and metallic. It held the fire with a blue and orange flame around the edges. The fire twirled in an organized way, as if the fire was being commanded by a supernatural force. Solo stove bonfire, bro. Running out of gasoline and lighter fluid. Yelp me, the strange and wild man yelped. What's that? Jed asked. It's my heat, bro. What you want? I'm here to gather up a platoon and teach y'all to snipe. The dwarf sent me. The dwarf? Never heard of him. You see any homeless folk around here? Not today. They come and go. The wild man added a touch of lighter fluid to the stove, and smoke twirled around the interior of the dumpster. You mean the little guy, Doc? The strange man said. Doc sent me. Yeah. You heard of him? Oh, you mean dwarf. Yeah, I heard of the little guy. Doc sent you, huh? Yep. He sent me to train you to snipe. So, short story short, follow me, trooper. Get out. Come on, getting cold. I only got this solo stove and some hydro shrooms and my overalls. I shot 'em, though. Sorry. Been living here for a while. No biggie. I got air freshener in the van. Cut 2. The GMC was miles down the road. 7-Eleven had been closed all day. Jed and the wild man sat looking forward at the icy road and the fields of white icing everywhere. Jed realized after studying the smelling traveler, he was burnt up like a fried piece of bacon left in greasy motor oil and cow turd. Back road coming up. What's your name? Jed asked the sneaky man. Drippy. You want a shrimp? Nope, driving. He got quiet. A horsefly buzzed in and began to dance around in the air. Drippy pulled out a spray canister from his side like a pistol and held it profile toward Jed and lit a match and pressed on the top of the canister knob, and it oozed out in fire form like a bolt from Zeus. A 10-inch fireball engulfed the entire front cabin, obliterating the fat black fly in midair. It even burned his plastic insurance card holder that read Farmers. It sizzled like an overcooked piece of bacon along with Jed's bangs and eyebrow. "Got that son of a bitch," Droopy said, smiling a yellow and silver row of braces. His breath smelled like the inside of air gap after dishwasher was no longer able to drain the water and had been floating floaties and waste water for more than 48 hours. "Damn, you singed me," Jed said, rubbing his prickled eyebrows. The smell of burnt hair arose. "Turn it on something witchy," the wild, smelly man yelped with stinky mouth. "Man, your breath smells something awful. How about Sabbath?" Jed twisted the knob on the road, and Black Sabbath began to play. I installed this system from Car Toys years back, before I started dwelling in Seattle. Dwarf sent me up here to the snowy wilderness and abyss of the north. He sends me out on drills and teaching missions. I teach others to snipe. Alas, it's damn cold. He turned the volume up. "You dig it? Surround sound speakers and all. You like the song War Pigs?" War Pigs intro began. "War Pigs is awesome. Turn it up. Love me some Sabbath." War Pigs played as Jed stayed on the straight and narrow, down the frozen farm road that led to Dilley. I drew a line here in the snow. He picked up a huge log and threw it down. Jed parked the van 100 yards away from the makeshift and immediate shooting range. The Macmillan rifle case was strapped around his chest like a heavy electric guitar. He took it out and waved it around like a baton. "This is a Macmillan sniper rifle. Blah, 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 and has direct target range up to a mile away. Same gun Chris Kyle used to kill all 300 of his ex-cult members of the Church of the Rock. Gunned those bunnies down like game. Now I'm going to teach you how to shoot straight and narrow. First, breathe. You never take a full breath before pulling the trigger. And you never pull the trigger, but rather softly squeeze. Take a half breath. Now barely let the air escape. 1, 2, and 3. Half breath. Good." The stinky man followed his instructions like a silent mime. "Good. Just listen. Half breath." Droopy took a half breath in and held it. "Now slow release. Focus. Slow and easy. Try not to move when you take these half breaths. Slow your breathing down. Got me?" The wild man shook his head. "Great. Now pull my finger." The wild man did so. Jed farted. "Ha. Just joshing you. No, really, pull my finger." He did so. "Now barely pull my finger. Barely squeeze it. Get me?" The wild man barely pulled his fingers. "Act as if you're pulling the trigger on my rifle." He used his finger as the trigger. He barely squeezed. "Nice. Nice, Droopy. Real slow and nice. Half breath in and slow exhale out. Very slow. Barely squeeze. Barely. Got it? Now, when the Macmillan fires, it will surprise you with a kick and deafen you unless you wear these." The teacher showed him that his ears were plugged with orange sponge. "See? I'm protecting my eardrums so I don't go deaf or get tinnitus. Got me?" The wild man listened and shook his head. The wind picked up and the chill got worse. Jed walked 100 steps out and began to build a snowman. "Want to help?" Jed said to the homeless bum that smelled like an inside of a broken GE dishwasher after ponding and refusing to drain. "Okay." That was the only word the bum said that day. He continued to help Jed build the snowman. They made 3 parts of his body in big balls and then stuffed carrots around his head so that the snowman would have 6 noses. We are going to shoot the carrots off the snowman. Shoot all 6 noses. Got me? The wild man shook his head and followed Jed back to the log. The second gun case lay awaiting. Jed opened and pulled out a long, slender sniper rifle with a bulky, long silencer. This is a SR-25, barely makes a sound. Also, it shoots almost as good as the Macmillan, and is an automatic. Watch and learn. Jed took a knee and then fell to his stomach before the log, jutting out the barrel of the SR. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. The wind picked up for a slight second, and Jed held for it to drop. Then, the carrots split into pieces. All 6 of them shattered and dropped from a freshly packed snowman. The snowman strikes again. The wind died more until the earth grew still. Not even a bird announced. The last carrot divided and dropped to the hard snow below. Woo! Escaped the mouth of the wild man. Now your turn. We snipe here until the sun falls. The wild man used the Macmillan over and over again, learning to feed the bullets from the magazine to the chamber, and learned about the safety and how to hold the strap around his shoulder and bicep, and how to shoot standing up or prone or on his side. He must have fired 300 shots within the first 2 hours or so. The magazines were loaded by Jed and handed to Droopy as he missed nearly every shot. Crosshairs on carrots, Jed would say. Half breath, barely squeeze, wait for the surprise. Finally, as the sun fell behind the icy caps, a carrot split and fell from the packed snowman, made by the hands of the snowman. Great shot. That's a direct hit. Sun's nearly down. To the van.